Black Panther Wakanda Forever is the follow-up sequel to 2018's Black Panther, directed by Ryan Coogler. The people of Wakanda fight to protect their home from intervening world powers as they mourn the death of King T'Challa. May Chadwick Boseman rest in peace. So if I had to describe my experience with this movie in one sentence, I would say that I did enjoy this movie. However, there's not a whole lot that I really enjoyed about it, and I didn't really feel very strongly by the time I left the theater. To me, this film lacked a deep, compelling narrative that really failed to reach out and grab me, and I just didn't really have all that great of a time with it, which I'm probably in the minority on this one at this point. So let me start off with what I really enjoyed about this movie. I really enjoyed the coming of age elements that are present in about the second act. Without giving away spoilers, there are many things that happen to a certain character throughout this film, and they really go through a lot of different adversity and a lot of very grown-up situations that they never thought they'd have to face. And in the second half of this film, it really does a great job of showcasing the different situations, how they go about going through those, how they cope with those things, how they might stumble and fall, ways they can recover, the people around them are there to support them. I really enjoyed that very supportive dynamic between a young person and also very more wise, experienced people around them. It's that whole mantra of it takes a village to raise a child, and I thought that this movie really explored that in pretty sufficient depth. Additionally, I really appreciated the pacing of Wakanda Forever. This movie is very long. 2 hours 41 minutes is a pretty long, lengthy runtime, but you never really feel that. Although I will say that the first act is a little slow, the movie never really lulls you to sleep and picks up at the right moments to keep you going. If this film felt really slow for the majority of its runtime, I think my experience probably would have just been killed, but fortunately this movie gets on a really steady cadence. Also, I really appreciated the fact that Wakanda Forever kind of explores this idea of what happens when a powerful nation like Wakanda meets someone of equal measure. Wakanda is so used to being at the very top of the world, having vibranium and having the greatest technology, which this movie does demonstrate. But then it shows an opponent of equal measure, and it kind of explores this idea of what happens when an unstoppable force meets an immovable object, and really what they have to do in order to still keep the peace and avoid conflict. That whole idea of diplomacy that's really explored throughout this movie in that sense, I thought was really fascinating and really intriguing, and really explores those themes in such a way that's a lot more easily digestible for a wider movie-going audience. Just within that idea alone are very mature themes, and I think that anybody at just about any age can actually really understand and explore those ideas throughout this movie, which I gotta give it to Ryan Coogler. That's a very hard thing to do, and the fact that they made that easy to navigate, I think makes this movie a lot more enjoyable, and it avoids you from getting lost. Especially with how long this movie is, it's got to keep you on the right track, because if you get lost early on, you're pretty much going to be SOL for the rest of the movie, but this movie avoids that pitfall. Okay, so let me shift over into what I didn't really enjoy about this movie. Unfortunately, I found this movie not to be very compelling. I didn't really buy into the central conflict for at least the first half of this film. In fact, I thought there was very little to no conflict or any consequences, which really kind of bummed me out. It feels like things just aren't really quite happening. Like all the conflicts feel artificial, and therefore all the stakes feel artificial, and it really keeps the movie from being interesting. It wasn't up until about the last hour of the movie where I really started to enjoy myself and get a lot more invested into what was going on, and it almost feels like a slow burn in that regard, which to a point I do understand, because they do have to interweave the passing of Chadwick Boseman and the passing of the character T'Challa in this movie, which isn't a very easy thing to pull off, so it does take some time to do that, but it doesn't quite make up for the fact that there is just this innate lack of conflict, or of a compelling conflict to be had in the first half of this movie. And additionally, although I found the character growth of some characters to be pretty significant, I didn't feel like it was quite earned by the time the movie ended. Without giving away spoilers again, there is one character in this movie that goes through very significant stages throughout their life, and by the time you reach the film's conclusion, they start thinking and acting and make decisions in a certain way that doesn't feel like it very much progressed in a natural cadence. It's like their growth felt like an on-off switch. It's like at first they were immature, now they are enlightened. It's like, whoa, that happened in no time flat. It just felt very random, off-putting, and just kind of empty. There was nothing that happened in this movie to suggest that they had progressed to that point, which just made it feel really clunky and kind of awkward, which really took me out of the experience. And additionally, kind of playing off of the lack of a compelling conflict I talked about earlier, I thought a lot of the fight scenes and war scenes and action scenes in this movie felt really hollow. It kind of felt like action just for the sake of action, and I think it's due in large part because of the fact that there was a lack of a really awesome conflict for most of this movie. When you don't have any substance to back up a lot of these characters or a lot of these warring countries fighting each other, it just kind of feels artificial. And if it feels artificial, sure, it might look really cool on screen, because let me tell you, it looks awesome on screen. It was really fun, but it didn't really feel like it meant anything. So friends, in the end, I definitely recommend seeing Wakanda Forever, but I wouldn't blame you if you walked out feeling a little bit underwhelmed like I did. I will say this movie handled the passing of Chadwick Boseman, I thought, very graciously and very well. So friends, in the end, I'm gonna have to give Black Panther Wakanda Forever a 6 out of 10. I thought it was just okay. Give it a shot. You might like it. Friends, thank you so much for watching another movie review. If you like this or thought it was helpful, I'd be honored if you consider clicking the like button, clicking these end cards, or the links down in the description below if you're viewing pleasure. Once again, I've been Bryson. Until next time, have a great day.